Hi guys, my name is Molly. I am mcnolty's AI assistant, and he has asked me to stand in because he's currently backstage with the other content creators. God only knows what they've been doing back there for so long. But I told them we need everyone to get their bits out here pronto. Anyways, welcome to the channel today. We are gonna be breaking down the best heroes in the whole entire empires and puzzles to second limit break.
That is the best heroes to second limit break in the epics and rares, Molly. Let's not get it twisted. So we will be entering into this amazing collaboration video in just a second. I hope that you guys are going to enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed making it for you, because it's a heck of a project. So here we go. Best epic and rares to second limit break in the whole of Empires and Puzzles. I hope you enjoy. What's up guys, it's mcnolty here. So as a massive welcome to this video, we are going to kick things off with my first hero that I've chosen as my 4-star that I would definitely recommend second limit breaking, and that is the lovely Asmia. I've just recently received the costume for Asmia. Now I haven't second limit broken the costume. I may well do, but for now, I'm definitely going to focus on the original version, and there is a good reason for that, which I'll get to in just a second. So to start off with, she has the right class for a healer. She has the monk class, which gives her the chance to resist status ailments, and that is very important. In the costume version, she does get the cleric class as well, which is probably a bit better resistance, but then her heal in the costume version is slightly lower, so that's why I've gone for this version. She gets the family bonus, as we know, so she gets a chance to give burn damage as well when she receives damage, and she gets the costume bonus, which unfortunately is a low mana bonus for these heroes at the moment. But what she does now get is she gets this awesome 100% passive chance, which means that when she casts her special skill, any of her passives that have a percentage chance to cast are guaranteed to cast. So this effect, which is normally a 60% chance to boost health of all allies by 10% and to cleanse the latest status ailment from all allies, is now 100% if you have the costume because of that passive. So that now turns her from a regular healer with the counter attack into a guaranteed 10% boosted health and a guaranteed cleanse of the latest status ailment. And she also gets a buff when she receives a positive stack. Sorry, she gets health when she receives a positive stack or a buff. So that means that she is more survivable in and of herself. And the second limit break on this hero gives you the damage reduction. So at the start of the battle, she gives you an extra 10% damage reduction for 6 turns on herself, which makes her a super good tank, especially for the 4-star tournaments. But it also makes her super survivable. And when you cast her special, that counter attack that she gives, which is 100% of the damage received for 4 turns, the damage reduction does not reduce the amount that she counter attacks by. So I'm going to say that again. The damage reduction, if you fire it off within the first 6 turns, does not reduce the incoming damage. So that means that even though she's taking less damage, the enemy's counter attack is just as strong as it normally would be. This hero is a brute. I take her up against solid teams with, maxed out 5-star legendary heroes and throw their specials back at them. And at the end of the day, Asmia is still standing. Because she gives herself a buff, she's going to benefit from that passive as well. And because she has that 100% passive, she's definitely going to be stuck around with boosted health. Now, her normal heal is only 15%, but don't let that put you off, because as I said before, this hero has a lot else going on. And you can see her stats are really, really decent when you do pull out those second limit breaks. So my first choice is for second limit breaks is Asmia. And I think she's absolutely dope. I would 100% recommend you limit breaking her. As I said before, the costume only gets a 10% health recovery. So that's why I haven't done the costume, but the counter attack is higher. But that being said, you'd be good with either version of Asmia. Definitely Definitely a maximum recommendation for second limit breaking. Now we'll move on to my next hero. Sorry for the janky transition. My second hero that I would second limit break, and my 3-star that I've chosen, is the man of the hour, the tiny little Christmas elf that could. It is Buster. Man, this guy looks like he's just been through the wars and he's come out on the wrong side of it. But I'm telling you now, this guy is a brute and definitely worth giving your second limit breaks to. So what does Buster do? I mean, the nice thing about Buster, even though he's running at slow speed, is he hits for a decent amount of damage. So it's 275% to the target and the nearby enemies. He also gets the elf minion for himself and nearby, which is a little bit of a meat shield as well. But the main thing about what this guy does is that he increases the damage that the target and nearby enemies receive by 24% and a further 2% per each fire shield on the board, up to 40% received damage increase. So he's like a tiny little version in the fire element of Franz. And I use him on my Green Titan teams. I use him in events, even at the legendary level, because of that damage increase. Now, it does depend slightly on the tiles on the board, but I wouldn't let that worry you too much. That damage increase means that every single other hero on your team hits harder, and he already hits pretty decently for a 3-star. So Buster is my recommendation for a 3-star to limit break, and I can guarantee you will not be disappointed if you do give your alpha ethers to this little busted up dude. So that being said, let's get back to it and see who's next on our content creators lineup.
Thank you, McNulty, and thank you to all of the other content creators, the wonderful content creators contributing to this video. I'm thrilled to be part of this team. This is 3KO Games, and you are looking at my pretty short list of 3- and 4-star heroes that I gave a double limit break to, and I get to talk about 2 of those today. Let's jump in and talk about our 4-star hero. Cyprian Costume 2 is an incredible counterattack support hero for your team. I love using this guy. He is the 4-star version of Obicon 2, except he doesn't attack. But instead of attacking, what he does is give counterattack for 1 more turn, for 4 turns, and give moderate amount of mana back to a caster and nearby allies for 1 more turn for 4 turns. And very importantly, caster and nearby allies reduce all received damage by negative 35% for 4 turns. So it makes that front 3, assuming that he's a tank, really survivable. I love using him. He has the regen ether talent when he was a double limit broken, which allows him to regenerate some health, which is kind of nice. And he's got the thorn minion, which I usually don't like, but let me tell you what. Where I use him most of all is in the 4-star events or 4-star tournaments. And I can't tell you how many times he's been the last one standing. And you think, oh my gosh, this guy's going to die. But 1, his health and his defense stats are really high. And 2, he just keeps getting that thorn minion. And 3, he keeps reducing the damage, so the enemies aren't killing him. He might be the only one there, sitting with a couple thorn minions, counterattacking them, and I'm going to take them out with tiles. Love using him in the 4-star raid tournaments, and in 5-star wars. In a pinch anyway, he might not survive some of the biggest attacks, but the counterattack is nice, and giving some mana to your nearby allies is sure pretty nice. I just finally got the Toon costume here for Cyprian, and just finished maxing it out just on basic leveling, but have not done any limit breaks there, so I can't talk about that, but I'm sure eventually he will get at least LB1, if not LB2. But for me, with this costume bonus, Cyprian 2, excellent hero. The other hero that I get to talk about is Kazir, 3-star druid, back from that Valhalla kind of thing. The bee guy. Everybody just calls him the bee guy. And now he has a costume as well. He gets that buff dispelling minion costume, but I'm not concerned about that. I want this minion preventing card here from Kazir. I use him in a 3 or even a 4-star raid tournament anytime I'm up against minion heroes, especially people are bringing Dawn in all over the place. I have to bring this guy in and hopefully get his special up first so that he can prevent those Dawn minions from taking away my mana. Also, anytime you see the defense team with another Kazir, the best way around Kazir is to do a Kazir race and just try to get your yellows before they get theirs to prevent your own. And with a double limit break here, he gets that defense up, which is great, makes him really survivable. That B minion is stronger than you think. Just 15% HP and 17% attack, but man, sometimes he gets going, and with 3-star heroes, you're just not going to wipe those out. And don't forget about that little bit of poison damage. I've had enemies die many, many times, surprisingly, because I forget, oh, those minions are doing poison damage as well. That is Kazir. Big thumbs up for a double limit break.
Hello everybody, Claythor here. Wanted to thank my brother mcnolty again for the invitation to participate and collaborate with him and all these amazing content creators on another video for you guys. And I think today we are talking about which epic and rare heroes we would like to showcase as candidates to receive the sought after alphas. And the 2 heroes that I have selected is Goldie and Phaeus. And before we jump into each one of those cards, I just want to point out that both of them are healers and supportive heroes. And because it is so hard to get those alpha ethers, in my mind, the heroes that are better candidates to be double limit broken, especially if you're just now building your roster, are supportive heroes. Are heroes that no matter how the power creep goes, those heroes will still bring value to your team, no matter if you're using them on war attacks, raids, or titans, okay? All right, so without any further ado, let's talk about Goldie. So first and foremost, Goldie is absolutely the prettiest of all the goblins. And I hope this is not open for discussion, because I don't want to hear if you think another goblin is prettier than Goldie, because that is just not true. So Goldie is a holy hero from the Paladin class. By now, I think most of you know that the Goblin family has an amazing bonus. And if you have 1, 2, or 3 heroes, you have a 50, 75, or 100% chance to have all the boosted health removed from all of the enemies if they cast their specials. And then in terms of her passive, Goldie has 50% chance to do 2 of the following. One is to deal 90% damage to all enemies. And the second one is to basically give them a minus 25% accuracy for 3 turns. And believe me, that passive can be crucial in the outcome of a battle. In terms of her alpha power, she receives the ailment immunity, which basically for the first 6 turns of any battle, she is immune against any status ailments. So very strong, especially on defensive formation. Now, even though Goldie is the prettiest of the goblins, where she really shines is on her special, which is called Magic Mirror of Power. So first of all, as an average epic hero, a 38% health recovery for all allies is super strong. One of the reasons I like percentage-based health recovery instead of boosted health is because no matter how the power creep keeps creeping, the percentage base will always follow the hero's current HP. Where a flat point base, let's say 500, 700 boosted health, will not. So a point-based heal will become weaker as new heroes are released with higher and higher HP values. Okay, so first of all, 38% is great. The second part of her special is the 100 attack growth. And that is where Goldie makes your team stronger. Folks are using Goldie not only on attacking formations in wars, raids, but also in Titans. And if you're able to fire her 2, 3, 4 times, that 400 points added to your attacking heroes does make a huge difference. And the last part of her special, which is my favorite, is her reflectability. I remember when I first maxed Goldie, I was bringing her every single battle, especially in Rush War, against Ulfrike. And I cannot tell you guys how many times she was the main reason why I won a battle. And believe it or not, there aren't many heroes, even in the legendary or epic level, that will give you this reflectability. And for that reason alone, I would highly recommend, if you have Goldie, to double limit break her. Alright, so now let's talk about Feas. I can tell you right now that there's not a lot of rare heroes that I would consider using even with my legendary heroes, especially during Rush War. But this little stud is one of them. So Feas is a rare nature hero from the cleric class. And you guys know about how much I enjoy the cleric class for the mana shield. He's also part of the Sun family. And as you can see, you will get a bonus for 1 or 2 heroes. 50 or 70% chance to cast a minus 35% accuracy. So basically just like Goldie, as part of her passive, the Sun family will also have a bonus that affects accuracy for 2 turns and 114 burn damage over 2 turns on any enemy who deals special skills damage to this character, okay? Feas just got a custom. So he was already an amazing hero. Now it really added some versatility depending on how you want to utilize him, primarily if it is on a defensive or offensive formation. Now the great thing about his custom is that he received 3 new passives, and the passives also are applicable to his original card. Alright, so the first passive is amazing, and even though it says 70% chance to perform the following, actually that is 100% chance, because of the second passive that says guaranteed effect on special. So I don't know why they did that, but honestly, that 70% is 100%. So whenever Feas casts his special, all allies will get 10% boosted health, and he will cleanse the latest cleansable status ailment from all allies. So that is basically 100% guaranteed. And then his last passive is that this character will recover 5% health when he receives a buff or a positive stack. So as you guys can see, a lot going on for a little rare healer. And this is only his passives. We haven't even actually dove into his special. In terms of his alpha ether power, he basically gets the heal increase, which means that at the start of each battle, this hero gets 50% increase for any healing received for 6 turns. So now let's jump into his special, which is called Plentiful Harvest. So the first part of his special says that he boosts health of all allies by 350. So again, due to his alpha power, he will get a 50% increase of that 350 heal as long as that happens within the first 6 turns. The second part of his special is amazing. All allies are immune to new status ailments for 4 turns. That is as strong as Hathor. And you all know how that ailment immunity is crazy good. And then finally, all allies get plus 30% defense for 4 turns. So guys, he is an unbelievable healer and supportive hero. Now 2 seconds regarding his costumes. So the primary changes are, now he's from the fighter class, which gives him 30% chance to revive once he is killed. And also his Alpha Ether special is now the special armor, which gives him a plus 40% defense against special skills for 6 turns. So that's it. I hope I was able to explain why I believe those 2 heroes are definitely heroes you should consider double limit breaking. Amazing heroes, will definitely do well against the test of time, and you will not regret if you spend your alphas in any one of them. Thank you again for this opportunity, Mr. McNulty, and looking forward to the next one. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, McNulty, for allowing me to be part of this collaboration video, and thank you to everybody who responded so positively to the first video. That's what allowed someone like me at a level 62, formerly very cheap to play, and for the past 6 months, completely 100% free to play, to be able to be part of this video. I have very limited resources when it comes to what heroes to limit break, even to emblem, in all honesty. So I have to be mindful of what part of this game I enjoy the most, and that's the PvP aspect, specifically the weekly raid tournaments. So let's go see which 2 heroes I've chosen to review for you today. And we could look there in the Team 5 slot and Team 6 slot are my 9 heroes that I have double limit broken. That's it. And my only 4-star happens to be Costume 2 Liju. If we look, she is my 4th strongest hero overall team power wise at 999. Now let's go ahead and open her up. We all know and love Costume 2 Liju, so I won't really go over her special, but I will say that her talent, the Superior Jinx, I forget about this from time to time, and am always concerned that I don't have anybody to dispel buffs. And then, boom, there she goes, dispels with tiles, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. So, I also love her damage reduction ether talent, so that's a positive. I would have said Toon Liju, but sadly, I don't have her. And while we're here on the original Liju, I'm sure most, if not all of you already know this. Yes, you have to double limit break the original side before double limit breaking the costume. Clearly, I haven't done anything other than just double limit break the original, but there she is, and there she is. Now, for my second hero to look over, my 3-star, my Dawn. And I typically use her with her only single limit broken twin sister, so I've got double Dawns running in those raid tournaments, and a big part of the reason is because they're fantastic, but a part of the reason is the Plains Hunter family bonus here that gives me that plus 5% attack, running the 2 of them. Let's go ahead and take a look at her first passive, which is one that I always forget about, also because it's pretty rare with only that 10% chance, but there is a 10% chance to drop damage from a special skill down to 1. I often miss it. I've had people leave comments in my video, wow, Dawn really saved you with that dropping the direct damage. And I've had to go back and rewatch and be like, oh, yeah, that did happen. So she's fantastic there. Then the Hunter's Mark, that's great too, to chip away at the opponents, which is kind of what her overall special does. She, the caster, and nearby get these Hunting Owl minions. We're all familiar with those, and they just chip away and steal your mana, and it's the most amazing thing when I have my double Dawns. Both go off, and I get all those minions, and they just take away all the mana from the other team. Another great Aether talent with the defense up. Oh, and like I almost just did, I oftentimes forget about this very last part of her special. Cleanse the status ailments from the caster and nearby allies. That's kind of an important one. I don't know why it's the last bullet point on there. All I focus on are the owls, and there we go. Probably one of the better parts of her special is buried there at the bottom. Talent-wise, Mana Shield, solid, it's good. Anyway, those are the 2 heroes that I have chosen to go over. So, McNulty, when you're ready to review the 3-star slow dragons, I'm your guy. I'll see you all then. Bye.
Hey McNulty, it's Pyrosis here. Thanks for the invite to jump onto your channel and share my thoughts on the best 3 and 4-star heroes to double limit break. Greetings to all you beautiful humans. If you haven't heard of me, and let's be honest, you most likely haven't, I would really appreciate as a new YouTuber if you could jump on over to my channel, have a look at what I'm doing. I feel it's in a good mix of entertainment, information, education, with a little bit of silliness thrown in just for good measure. If you like what you see, gently press that subscribe button. and help me take this beyond the horizon. Now I've got that boring drivel out of the way, let's move on to the 3-star and 4-star heroes I would recommend for a double limit break. With resources being so scarce, I would generally put these into 3 different categories of why I would limit break a 3-star or 4-star. In no particular order, they are to compete in events, to complete events, or for a unique skill as a pretend 5-star. The 3-star I'm going to recommend falls into the category of unique skills pretending to be a 5-star and is none other than Shrub Bear. Seen here in all his glory, reminds me a lot of McNulty himself, looking a little bit angry, just pretending, but just a big, lovable, cuddly teddy bear. We can see here Shrub Bear's special skill is running at slow speed. We have the caster gets taunt that prevents enemies from using special skills on the caster's allies for 4 turns. The caster gets plus 63% defense for 4 turns. The caster gets plus 74 defense against special skills for 4 turns. But where the magic happens is on the alpha ether talent of the automatic taunt. So at the start of each battle, this hero gets taunt that prevents enemies from using special skills on the hero's allies for 3 turns, and in battles with multiple waves, this effect is refreshed at the beginning of each wave. So he can be used in a couple of ways. If you are struggling with some of the events, because it does refresh each wave, it means he can soak up a few hits from the enemy bosses if you can charge them, and may help your team survive and may help you then complete the events. On top of that, as I don't have any other heroes such as Ludwig or anyone else who has that automatic taunt, I actually use him as a quasi 5-star, basically as a meat shield, especially in the Rush War, where he can just soak up hits from heroes like Alfreak, back when Alfreak was being used a lot, or depending on which level you're playing at. Heroes like Lemonwood, anyone who can decimate your whole team, you can use Shrub Bear as a meat shield. He will taunt, he may get killed straight away, but it gives you the time to charge your other heroes up and do what you need to do to get the win. So that's Shrub Bear, the Beast of Wonderland. Emblem him up with health and defense and use him as a meat shield. Moving on to my 4-star pick, and I will just mention here, I do only have 1 or 2 3-star and 4-stars that have been double limit broken. So I am very, very choosy on which ones to do. So with that being said, my 4-star is Greg, the Grogmaster. I feel Greg can fall into 2 different categories. He can fall into the completing events category and also the unique skill and pretending to be a 5-star. Greg's special skill runs at average speed, deals 100% damage to all enemies, summons a Sword Guard Mega Minion, and any target hit by the Sword Guard Mega Minion receives bleed damage over 3 turns, which spreads to nearby enemies. The star of the show being the Mega Minion, which does big damage on every hit and also adds that bleed. Whilst this is summoned on the special skill, if we look a little bit deeper, we actually see that part of his family bonus is starting the battle with a Mega Minion. I actually also use Greg in a 5-star farming team that also has 4 other members of the Garrison Guard family. So as we can see, the more heroes we have, the stronger that Mega Minion is, and they just absolutely blitz through teams when it comes to farming. So another little added bonus there is you can use him as an auto farmer. Another unique skill for young Greg is the Guard Rally passive. So every 4 turns he removes all wither effects from all allies. So if you don't have that on any of your 5-stars, this just makes Greg so valuable against any of those newer heroes, goblins and other heroes which are putting wither on your team, which is lowering your defense for the whole term of the battle. So without Greg to remove that, your team becomes extremely vulnerable over the course of the battle due to that wither. So that is just another reason that Greg has the unique skills and abilities to pretend to be a 5-star. To help keep Greg alive whilst pretending to be a 5-star, he does also have the Regen Alpha Aether talent. So that just gives him a little bit of health at the start of the battle. Emblem him up with health and defense, beef that Mega Minion up, watch the Mega Minion do some damage, and keep Greg alive to help remove that wither from your team. You won't regret it. There we have it, folks. My pick for 3-star and 4-star to double limit break. If you've enjoyed this presentation, even if it's just listening to my dulcet tones, head on over to my channel, check me out, and remember, gently caress that subscribe button. Back over to you, McNulty.
Hey friends, Greetings from Dancing Gaming. Part of this collab, I'm going to be speaking about two specific heroes. But first portion, I would like to say, why do I provide LB2s to any hero? My first and the foremost reason is, can I use this hero on both offense and defense? Almost all heroes can be used on offense, but not all heroes can be used on defense. And hence, LB2s play a very important role in increasing the stats of heroes, making them not just impact, but also survive to impact more for a longer period of time. And hence, deserve LB2s. So that's why I'm starting from my defense team for raids section. So these are the 5 heroes that I have given limit breakers second time, because they all play a very important role. Whoever has been watching my channel knows how much I have used over the years the Hatter, and hence he was the first hero to be limit broken the second time in the legendary team, and obviously survives. An exception I made because he plays a very important role to steal buffs and bring to for his allies. And now, of course, there are many other heroes, but for a big duration or period of time, he was the only fellow. The other two heroes that you see, Shacklebolt and Hachiko, they do a lot of stuff as their hero card shows, passives and the specials. Same is the case over here. And they are used on offense and defense very regularly. Every war, you know how Hachiko carries one team, and also Shacklebolt is my tank in most of the war defenses. And reinforcing both of them was very important. Bloody battle scenario of the tournament, and now very soon in the battle, in the war, also Alliance Wars, Hachiko is going to come into play for a very important role that he plays. So this is the rationale that I use: longevity, multiple roles, and how impactful the hero would be, and hence LB2 eligibility falls in place. Now coming down to the two heroes that I'm going to speak about, Cademan and Jokahainen. Cademan is an epic, extremely important hero for my gameplay. As you can see in all tournaments, wherever greens are allowed, he is part of the gang of 4, along with elemental defense, then defense down, then it's Cademan, and of course Alfie, to ensure I pass through the gameplay. But Cademan plays an extremely important role for multiple reasons. And I have kept this version of Cademan because this I have to limit break twice, the main one. The rest of the ones I haven't. Why? Because I use this version mainly and only. Almost 99% of the times I'm using this version of Cademan. He's impacting 3, there is an immunity, and there is a dispel aspect. So that is an important requirement for gameplay, because in today's times there's massive amount of buffs, and hence Cademan comes into play. Straightforward. Very important hero. And LB2 dodge being his I forget what is the term that is used. So this comes in again handy. Not so frequently it activates, but still it's just 20%, but it's still useful. So yeah, that's that. Going into Jokahainen, same, he's a dispeller, impact all, and then he creates immunity to new status effect buffs for 4 turns. Very useful, and of course Monk talent comes into effect, and then his Aether power, now I remember the term, counterattack is again useful, and this part is super valuable. And that's his recovery of health and receiving mana. And suddenly he charges up and does his thing. So these are the two heroes that I chose LB2 for the impact that they carry and bring, and very clearly green for my epics and blue for my rare 3 stars are two important colors and teams that I use very frequently. Almost 70% of my gameplay is with these two colors in their respective rarities. So there you go. That's my rationale and logic. And both Cademan and Jokahainen, without batting an eyelid, fall in to my defense teams also when I'm setting them up. Unless those two colors are not allowed, then that's a different thing. But wherever they are allowed, they are in the defense team also. So offense and defense as a combo, absolutely important for my LBs. And impact. The hero causes and the value of the impact. That's it. Trust this helps. Catch you soon. Cheers from Dancing Gaming.
Hey there, McNulty. Thank you for inviting me to join this collab, and thank you for organizing it. To everyone else, I go by Combinator or Combo. I'm brand new to creating content for Empires and Puzzles with just a few videos, so if you haven't checked out my channel yet, come on by for a visit. But today, I want to talk about two amazing heroes that you should double limit break, one 3-star and one 4-star. First, some things to take into consideration when double limit breaking. For most of us, alpha ethers do not grow on trees, so we need to be very strategic when we use them. Before double limit breaking a hero, I always think about how am I going to use this hero? Can I utilize them in multiple aspects of the game? And will they stand the test of time when it comes to power creep? If you have an advanced roster, then for 3-star and 4-star heroes, you don't really have to worry about the power creep as much, as it doesn't really affect them nearly the way it does for legendary heroes, because chances are you are likely only using them for raid tournaments and events. And if you are newer to the game, double limit broken 3-star and 4-star heroes are essential for building your roster early on in the game and will help you out a lot with progressing through maps, attacking in wars, and will continue to be very useful for you in the long run for events and raid tournaments. So let's first take a look at 3-star Jolly from the Winter Portal, which will be coming out at some point next month probably. Obviously being very slow mana speed isn't ideal, but there's a reason for that. It's because his special is so good. If it were any faster, Jolly would literally be unstoppable as displayed from the current Rush tournament where my defense is undefeated. And this was against some great offenses, as you can see. I will show you the talent path I chose in a moment, but I have him at 680 attack, 800 shield, and 1458 health. For his special skill, he is going to boost health of all allies by 475. This can exceed max health. Each ally gets an elf minion with 10% health and attack. And for 6 turns, he is going to make it so all allies get 45% reduced damage and plus 35% mana generation. That is insane. In Rush tournaments, that's going to make it so all of your heroes get their specials in 5 tiles. Outside of Rush, this will make Jolly fire in 10 tiles, slow heroes in 9, average heroes in 8, and fast heroes in 6 tiles. This is a huge difference maker. For his talents, he is going to have a 25% chance of getting plus 25% defense for 2 turns. Looking at the talent path, I chose a pretty standard shield first, health second. There are 2 times you could choose health over shield, giving Jolly 72 extra health, which would give the minions 7 more health, but that's not worth it to me. I did not add any masterclass emblems, but if you did want to spend 15 masterclass paladin emblems and 150 regular paladin emblems, you could gain an extra 180 shield, 100 health, and where he currently has a 25% chance of getting plus 25% defense when attacked on any turn, this would then apply to him and nearby allies. In addition to all of this, his Alpha Ether is one of the most useful for a rare hero at tank position. He gets regen 420 health over 6 turns, so he's going to get 70 health each turn for 6 turns. He is part of the Winter family, so if you combine him with Buster or any other Winter heroes, he could get an extra 2 or 3% health boost for the minions and an extra 5% or 10% attack. Jolly obviously works best in Rush, but he is also very useful in Buff Booster because he's going to give 2 buffs to all of your allies for 6 turns, which is a very long time. I would also use him in almost any raid tournament, especially when when dark heroes are not allowed. It is also very common to see Jolly on some of the top event teams because of his overheal and mana increase that is among the best in the game. I have seen a lot of people in the top 100, even in epic and legendary events, have Jolly on their teams. All right, next up we have a 4-star Colin, specifically his Ranger costume with the elemental defense down. He is slow mana speed. I'll show you his talent path in a moment, but mine has 1197 attack, 861 shield, and 1806 health. Yes, you're looking at that right. That is an epic hero with 1197 attack. That's got to be the highest for an epic hero in the game. For his special, he's going to attack 3 for 285%. He's also going to add minus 54% against fire for 6 turns, and he will deal extra damage against nature. Being a Season 1 hero, he does get the superior talent of having a 60% chance to bypass defensive buffs, including counterattacks, and if buffs were bypassed, that target will receive 339 bleed damage over 3 turns. Looking at the talent path, I chose attack first, shield second, and on nodes 8 and 9, I did choose to bypass the 2% mana so that I could give him extra attack and shield. The 2% mana isn't going to help him fire his special any faster, so I decided that I wanted to have the extra attack and shield. I did not add any masterclass emblems, but if you wanted to use the 25 fighter masterclass emblems and 250 regular fighter class emblems, you could give him an extra 150 attack with 100 health and an extra 12% chance to bypass defensive buff. For his Alpha Ether, he is going to counterattack 60% of damage for 6 turns. He is, of course, part of the classic Season 1 family and will get extra buffs when paired with other Season 1 heroes, maxing at 7% attack, defense, and healing. And as you can see here, this is what he looks like with the full ×3 costume bonus. Colin has a lot of uses. You can use him in Rush War and Rush tournaments on offense. You can also use him outside of Rush. It's just going to take him a while to fire since he is mainly an offensive hero. You can use him against Titans. It's going to take him a while to fire, but that elemental defensive down is going to last for 6 turns. But where he shines the brightest, in my opinion, is in events. So talking about challenge events and alliance quests, it is very common for 90% of the top 100 to use mono red teams in the epic level. And this costume of Colin is a staple of those teams. Many even having 2 or 3 of them on their team, all double limit broken. Personally, I use Bold Tusk, Wilbur, Buster, and 2 Colins. One of them is double limit broken and the other is single limit broken. And that is it for my segment today, guys. If you did like my reviews of Jolly and Costume Colin, come by my channel for a visit, and I'll catch you all later.
Hello there, mcnolty. Hello to you, my friend, and hello to all the great people watching this great video, this informative video. So basically the choice has fallen to me to explain why did I limit break or double limit break some 3 stars and 4 stars. So first of all, Melandor, Toon Melandor. His other costumes are also good, but the reason I limit broke Melandor is because I really lacked a lot of green healers, fast green healers, and his 45% health for all allies is really good, and his average speed and apart from healing, he gets this plus 34% defense for 3 turns for everyone. And if you use him with for example, nature combo heroes 5 stars, they are going to get this defense for 2 turns longer, and it's going to be undispellable, which is great, really great. In this current meta, to have something that is undispellable is really great. And of course, he dispels buffs from all enemies, which is something really, a priority dispel these days is something very handy. So currently, he's not on 80, he's not double limit broken because I'm working on another green 5 stars, but I'm going to get him to 80 in a few days. So of course, toons, we all know how toons have the resistance on everything. So basically, yeah, I chose him because I needed a relatively fast, solid healer that doesn't die on a single special skill. So I chose Melandor. So mainly I use him for wars, sometimes in wars, but mainly on tournaments. He's just great on tournaments, on a buff booster, on, I don't know, rush tournaments. He's very, very good, and also in wars. Maybe not in top tier wars, but in a bit lower bracket, he is very good. And the 3-star is of course Nordri, regular one and the costume one. The costume one mainly because he deals a damage to 3 enemies that is the same, so he's not doing like regular one a minor damage to nearby. So in events it's more important to hit 3 targets the same than to have a higher damage to 1 target and then minor to nearby. So he is very, very good on events, and of course minus 54% defense against ice for 3 turns, and against fire characters this is 2 turns longer and is uncleansable. So yeah, for Titans some players really don't have any elemental defense down heroes, so Nordri is easy to come by. So using him for Titans and of course in events, for rare events, it's very, very good. So basically, yeah, I don't know what else to say against him. This one has rage talent, so that's very good also for events. You won't be mistaken if you use regular one in events, but I prefer to use the costume one just because of the hit, the same hit on the 3 targets. And of course I used him long way before for Titans, but some players that don't have, Frida or some other costume Perseus, they can use Nordri. It's minus 54% defense against the ice is very good. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for your promotion. Thank you all for watching this video. Support mcnolty, he's a great guy, and like he said, share it with your mother. See you around.